Roasting Kevin tonight, got any good zingers, or is got the script?
You know, well, the thing about Kevin is that there's, I think the media provincially focus on some of those, what you might call the zinger for him. But I think people in Kamloops know that he has done an incredible amount of good work, and it would be a shame. I always have thought it was a shame that the provincial media focused on these kind of on what they thought was maybe a lack of political correctness or too much straight talking, instead of focusing on all the good work that he's done. And you know what? I think maybe being politically incorrect and being a straight talker is a good thing. And I think that people in Kamloops really appreciated that about Kevin.
I'm talking about recall allowance, and I was trolling some of the news feeds and stuff this morning. You're quoted, don't ask me where, because I read too many things I can't remember. But basically, you did have some concerns, or are you thinking that this allowance should be wiped out entirely if MLAs are recalled? What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, look, I wasn't there for the discussion. I'm not part of the LAMC group, that little committee, that bipartisan NDP government committee that makes these decisions. And they made it before I even became premier. So I'm not privy to any of the information that they base that decision on. But I can say on the face of it, it just doesn't make any sense to, I mean, if MLAs are recalled because their constituents don't want them there, that's a pretty serious thing. And so I don't understand why, on what basis they would have made that decision. So I'm a little bit flummoxed by it.
Terry Lake was subject to recall. He was not subject, or no one would suggest that he had done anything wrong to prompt that recall. Had it been successful, that would have put him in a slightly different boat, would it not?
No, I don't think so. And the fact is, he didn't get recalled.
He didn't.
Right? And he didn't get recalled because the people of the community knew that it was a politically motivated attack on Terry. They knew that he shouldn't be recalled. And you know what? The thing is that voters are smart. And so when they see these politically motivated recalls happening, I think they discount it. And that's why there haven't been, that's why it's difficult to recall MLAs, because the breach has to be pretty serious. And I think these politically motivated attacks, and we saw, they were all over the HST or whatever. I think people see them for what they are, right?
Well, I guess we'll leave it in the Fraser, the conflict. Now, I know you've said publicly there is, he should be able to handle it. He says he can handle it. There's no conflict there. But what about the perception? I mean, there's obviously a concern because his son does work for you. Just on the surface alone, would that not be reason enough to say, maybe we shouldn't have him doing this investigation?
His son doesn't work for me. His son works for the government. His son is a civil servant. And I think it's sad we live in an age where anybody, for any reason, can throw around these kinds of accusations and call into question the integrity of people who have done incredible public service. And Paul Fraser is a highly respected lawyer in British Columbia. He was selected by a bipartisan committee of the legislature, and he has never been accused of bias. And I think it says a lot about the level of political discussion to which we've descended. That that people that are out to attack me would think it's acceptable to drag his reputation through the mud in order to do that.
But beyond, I hear what you're saying in terms of reputation stuff, but in terms of, it's all about optics. And I mean, that as a politician, everything is about optics and how things look, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. Sometimes in order to placate what might be totally and completely inane, and you sometimes still need to kind of play the game of saying, okay, let's remove this 3 more steps because
You know,
so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, like you're.
see, I would pose a different argument. I don't think that this is all about, I don't think that governing is all about optics. I think it's all about content. I think it's all about the decisions that we make and the leadership that we show and what we actually do. And so, you know, this whole, one of the problems with politics, I think most citizens would agree with this, is that if it's all about optics and it's all about polls and it's all about appearances and it's all about communication, you're not doing anything. You're not accomplishing anything. You're not making decisions and showing leadership. It is actually about the content. And I think this is something that citizens are hungry for. They don't, you know, we focus all the time, or I guess the public debate focuses so much on how things look rather than what they are. And I think that's what the public wants to know, and I think that that's the best way to serve the public is to talk about the content of it. And here's the content. He's a man of great integrity. His reputation is absolutely spotless. It's totally, totally unfair to drag his reputation through the mud as a way to launch a political attack on me. I think that's beneath even my opponents. And I'm glad that this conflict probe is underway, because this will finally, with this report, stick a fork in it. All of the attacks on my reputation, which are completely unfounded, and all of this conjecture, which is just made up, we will finally be able to put an end to it with a definitive report from the Conflict Commissioner.
It should be about content. You're spending $15 million on advertising, which, is that not about optics?
It's about content. What we're talking about in the advertising is all fact-based. So we talk about the jobs plan. We try and engage people in the jobs plan, because one of the things that we have to do is, as we're building government policy, is get the opinions and the best thinking of the people of the province. So I said I was going to do government differently. One of the things that we need to do is we need to really listen to people and engage them in their own government. So we're doing that through the jobs plan and through the skills training plan. We've put $75 million into our skills training plan because there's 46,000 new jobs created in the province in the last year since we launched the jobs plan. We need to make sure that British Columbians have the skills that they need to be first in line to get those jobs. So we need people's input in helping build the skills plan and the jobs plan. And the jobs plan advertising talks about where we're going with LNG, which is $1 trillion industry. It talks about skills training, and it talks about where we're at in terms of job creation in the province. Those are all fact-based.
But in these days when it's, you know, a lot of talk of constraint and, you know, all that kind of thing, is it not it's a lot of money. I mean, what about if you want input, going to opinion polls or formats like that? But it seems like it's an awful lot of money for advertising.
Well, an opinion poll won't tell you how people would, you know,
well,
what people
won't tell you either.
But you know what the ads, which are content based, do is two things. One, while the public debate you mostly see in the media is about appearances and about optics and about the horse race, we need to engage the public in the content. That's my job. And so that's what we're attempting to do through the advertising, is engage people, inform them of the content, first of all, and then second, engage them in helping us build the plan out. So we set the plan a year ago. We have made very good progress on the plan, and we need to keep building the plan, but we want to do it with people's input. And so, you know, a poll might or might not tell you, you know, what people are thinking. It will generally, I guess, it tells you how people might vote. What does that tell you about how we could build a jobs and training plan for the future? How we can make sure our kids in Kamloops are first in line for jobs, so that if they grow up here, they can get educated here and they can get a job here. Opinion poll won't tell you that.
Well, I'm not saying political poll. I'm saying when we vote and say, so what's gonna work for you?
Well,
Or, you know.
yeah, you could do that.
There's research that could be done and other methods than advertising where people can't respond to an ad.
people can. The website is prominently a part of all of that, and that's part of, that is the reason we're doing it, is so that people can engage. That's exactly why we're doing it. And so yes, there are other ways of doing it, and guess what? They cost money too.
I was reading a Michael Smith column this morning, and I think he said of the job creation, he said that Stats Canada showed there was an actual loss of 10,000 jobs. And I don't know at the time, it was recent, and I don't.
Yeah, I didn't see that. You will see, I didn't see his column, so I can't speak to his theory on that specifically, but there are ups and downs every month. And so about 2 months ago, we were number one in job creation in the country. So in the last couple of months, it slipped a little bit, but we're still up 46,000 net new jobs in the province. And those are private sector, full-time jobs. I'm not talking about growing government here. We are going to have the lowest growth in government spending this year that we've had since 2004, 2005. We are constraining the growth of government, recognizing that it's citizens who pay for government, and they don't, lots of people are struggling. Affordability is a huge issue in the province, and we cannot raise taxes in order to grow government. All we can do is we have to keep government small, recognizing that citizens don't have the extra money to pay for it. So that's, we're keeping a lid on taxes, we're balancing the budget, and we're keeping the growth in spending low.